Chapter 84 to 86. Currently, two figures of largely differing statures were standing opposite to each other in the sea forest of Fishman Island. The area had a lot of coral growing around it, more so than normal due to the light emitted by the sunlight tree Eve. It is populated by all kinds of sea fauna, including schools of fish and pods of whales. There are also several shipwrecks there because sunken ships are dragged here by the ocean currents, thus the epithet ship graveyard. The two figures were inside the bubble space, so one of them, the human, was safer than being outside of it. Jinbei stared at the hood-down Amon with wide eyes. He didn't expect another warlord here. Yo, nice to meet ya. Even though there are 7 warlords, there are cases where some of them didn't even meet once. Amon and Jinbei were one of those cases. For that reason, Jinbei didn't know much about Amon, but he had a guess. If Shirley is right, he will try to kill His Highness. I don't recall him having any grudge towards us, so the only conclusion would be that the government has sent him. Jinbei's veins popped up. Hello, Mr. Warlord. A government's dog. In spite, Jinbei rushed forward. He won't kill him, but he will at least cripple him. He won't let a person who wanted to kill his king go away freely. At least not when the government is behind it. You human! Jinbei screamed and punched towards Amon. He was pretty different from his anime counterpart 10 years from now. Although Fisher Tiger's last words and Otoheim's attempts made him lean towards his good side, he still possessed a little hate for humans. Ha! He jabbed towards Amon. The attack was fast, as Amon barely dodged it and Jinbei's hand missed him by an inch. Amon decided to not use his thunder powers. It won't help him determine his limit. Why am I even doing this, you ask? First, testing myself, and second, taking precaution about Shirley's divination. I would bring her in my army, or just kill her. Looking at Jinbei's fist, Amon thought. The current Jinbei is weak. Very weak. I guess I won't have to go all out. Again, Jinbei's fist rushed towards Amon's chest. Amon had no intention to dodge. He took a step back and swung his fist forward. The two fists collided with each other. The clash wasn't strong enough to create a shockwave, but it did. It was because of the martial art Fishman karate. Colliding with Jinbei's fist, Amon's hand twisted slightly as he instantly jumped backwards. Damn! Hockey mixed with Fishman karate is too much. Amon wasn't weak in any sense. Even without the fruit, he was overall stronger than Jinbei. But he forgot even someone weak like Hody Jones was able to destroy the Ryugu Palace with just his palm's grip. The current Jinbei was a lot stronger and also a lot more proficient at Fishman karate. Even without the fruit, in overall power capability, Amon will beat Jinbei, but in sheer strength and defense, Jinbei wins. In the Fishman karate pose, Jinbei looked at Amon. Warlord, the fishmen hold no grudge towards you. Can you justify your reason for being here, trying to assassinate the king? Assassinate the king? Ha, I won't do it. Amon already knew Jinbei heard it from Shirley. I guess it's time to stop my head from constantly saying, I will kill Neptune. Shirley is probably still seeing that scene. Shaking his head off the line, Amon again went back to, I'm the one, wordings. And how do you know I'm here for that? Mr. Jinbei, don't you think it's better to clear the misunderstandings? I don't plan to do such a thing, I'm just here to sightsee, Amon said with a smile. Lies. Even if that's not the case, you are around the Poneglyph. Fishman karate. Jinbei didn't bend on his uncertainty. If Amon didn't leave even now, he won't have a choice but to hurt him. He rushed forward in a fighting stance and palmed Amon in the chest. Amon didn't bother dodging. He rather blocked with his arms, forming an X. Jinbei frowned seeing this. He then kept hitting on Amon's hands. Amon wasn't using any other defensive technique, only his invisible armament. He could feel Jinbei's firm and strong punch/palm hitting him hard. It was helping his hockey. Amon didn't stay like that though, each opening he got. He also replied with attacks. The fight was just an exchange of blows, there was no dodging. Two people were standing face to face and hitting each other in their respective battle style. Finally, seeing that normal attacks were ineffective, Jinbei attacked Amon with his extraordinary level of Fishman karate. Fishman karate, water impact. A water fence was formed on Jinbei's palms as he impacted Amon in the face. Amon tried to dodge the attack by taking a sidestep, but at last, it hit him right at his left shoulder. Gah! Amon was surprised himself. Jinbei wasn't supposed to be strong, no. Jinbei wasn't strong, rather he himself was weak. Past 2 years, he depended too much on his wings. After that he got Goro Goro no Mi. Even when he doesn't use these two, he depends on Rokushiki too much. Techniques were good, but in front of sheer power, nothing could stand. Kaido was a big example. Gear 4th Luffy couldn't even scratch him. Not at all, until he got advanced armament. Amon clenched his teeth. He can finish the fight with a single 115 million volts, or by dodging and attacking using his Rokushiki, something he's been training from a young age. But that's not enough. That's not sheer power. That's just swiftly applying his sheer power. Ugh, fuck me. What did Rayleigh say about armament again? Saying fuck it. Amon recalled Rayleigh's words and used Saimai Kicken on his shoulder to relieve the pain and jumped back. Doing such, he was just at the end of the bubble barrier. Just behind him the sea was lingering. That martial art sure is something, Amon had some bruises around his body, but he wasn't tired that much. While on the other hand, Jimbei was gasping crazy. Looking at the Jimbei who was trying to catch a breath, Amon looked at his fist. It was bloody from all the skirmishes with an ink-black hockey-imbued fist mixed with fishman karate. Fuck it. Amon put strength in his legs as he leapt forward, towards Jimbei's face. His fist shined briefly. Think of your fist as an elephant. Suddenly, his hand covered into a shining black armor. Amon grinned as he swung his fist backwards. He couldn't believe Rayleigh's one line helped him bypass his bottleneck. Rokugan. Armament impact. His hockey-imbued arm shined purple before it hit the caught-off-guard Jimbei right in his face with a purple shockwave-like beam leaving his fist, penetrating Jimbei's body in the process. Lightly, Jimbei fell on his back. Amon stared at him for a few seconds before grinning lightly. What a crazy defense. Even when I hit your head. Huff. Jimbei was alive fine. Normal people would have died, their head would have burst. He barely got up from the ground before looking at Amon with one of his eyes purple. Amon was injured at wheel, but they were just scratches. Don't underestimate fishman physique. That was nothing. Underestimate. I never did. It's just a little enviable, Amon said. I don't plan plans to kill you, Knight of the Sea. Jimbei completely ignored his words. He grinned and jumped forward without any prior notice. I hate to do it in this disgraceful way, but I have to for the sake of the king. Just behind Amon's back, the bubble barrier was standing proud, holding the sea on the other side of it. While the sounds of sea waves filled the area, Jimbei jumped at Amon as both of them penetrated the bubble and dropped into the sea. Fishmen are stronger in the water, while a devil fruit user was useless. Or is it? Unbeknownst to Jimbei, Amon let himself get dragged. He has prepared everything beforehand. Jimbei didn't stop as he swam fast, deeper into the dark sea. Meanwhile, in the darkness of the world, Amon had a cold expression which soon transformed into a massive grin. A few minutes later, on the other side, in the middle of Fishman Island, a large commission was taking place. Fire. Kaya. The boxes containing the hundreds of signatures of citizens were in a fire. This would lead to the doom of the Queen's dream. Oh, someone bring water. Queen Otoheim ran from the middle of her children. She brought Shirahoshi as well since she was being stubborn. In front of her, the fire was burning the thing she's been craving for years. She was going through a crisis seeing the scene. No. Everything seemed fuzzy to her. The screams of her subjects listened loud and hazy to her ears. Someone stop the fire. She screamed on top of her lungs, tears falling down her cheeks. Call the fishman karate users. Seeing everyone running around, Otoheim tried to extinguish the fire with her dress as a few guards dragged her back. Your Highness, you can't. No. I have to do something. They are the signature I've been collecting for a... Bang. Before she could finish her words, a gunshot resounded from far away as a red trail of blood dripped from Otoheim's chest. Someone has assassinated the queen. Jimbei POV. I pulled the human deep underwater. After traveling a few hundred meters from the island in an instant, I gripped him strongly. He was useless here, so I don't plan to hit him now. I will just leave him here and he will drown. I will not let him die though. Not after my promise with Brother Tiger. I will take him back after he loses consciousness. Thinking such, I threw him forward. He went past the water a few meters away. As he floated there with his head down, I gazed ahead with a disgusted look. Fragile humans. However, Keck. The next second my eyes arched up soon after. Impossible. The human was looking at me with his lips sealed and a slight smile forming on his face. A bolt of lightning was out of his nose, dancing like a snake. Then it sounded. Fragile. You mean me. You are not wrong, but you are not right either. What is this? General POV. Laughing using electrical voice transmission, Amon slowly took off his purple suit which was wet and heavy. As Amon's cloth came out, Jimbei stared at the scene with wide eyes. Under Amon's clothes was present a head-to-toe rubber suit, a full-body diving suit. Amon was wearing a diving suit that was blocking any water from touching his skin below his face. The face part was cut beforehand. Even with that skin revealing, the water couldn't affect his powers. A certain amount of body percentage needs to be sinking or submerged in water for the devil fruit user to lose his powers. Amon didn't have water touching him other than his eyes, nose and mouth, so it wasn't enough to make his Logia body not work. Seawater isn't the same as sea stone. Among Logia users, only crocodile is weak against even the tiniest seawater while everyone is weak against sea stone. Fishmen are overpowered, but that doesn't mean you should attack a human just out of an addiction. I could have died. Amon's technique let the vogue flow even underwater as Jimbei looked at it with wide eyes. How is he? Isn't he a devil fruit user? After many tests Amon discovered, as a Logia, unless he had more than 15% of his body parts touching the still water, he would be fine. He would still have a Logia body effect. This was the case for every Logia other than sand fruit. Even Wiper can do this trick. However, only Goro Goro no My user is brave enough to run around the sea like how Amon is doing. The reason was simple. Goro users don't need to breathe. Amon wasn't able to open his mouth as water would enter through it, making him sink. Fortunately, he was still fast. At least, faster than every fishman in the world, along with Jimbei. He heated up the water, hot enough for Jimbei to become uncomfortable but not hot enough for the rubber suit to melt. All the fish around that place, including sea kings, swam away as Amon went out of control. People might question why was he doing this? He could have ended the fight in the land anyway. Well, it's for one big reason. Amon was dragging the fight for the queen to get shot. Amon wanted, along with Jimbei, every other fishman to feel first embarrassed, later grateful when he would save Queen Otoheim's life. Jimbei would receive the biggest hit. He would definitely blame himself after Amon successfully saves the queen, realizing that when was busy trying to fight someone based on an assumption. He failed to protect his queen and the person he was trying to cripple saved her life. It would hit him hard. Amon would easily get a powerful ally. As he was about to defeat Jimbei, Amon sensed Horty Jones preparing things for himself. Amon didn't waste any more time and teleported in front of Jimbei as he started to attack him. Amon defeated Jimbei in seconds after giving him some massive shocks. His previous desire for testing his body's limit had faded. First of all, he already saw his limit. He even broke past it. Secondly, didn't want to fight a fishman underwater. Besides, the reason he was dragging the fight had been completed. He wanted to go back to Fishman Island now. So he grabbed Jimbei by his collar and dragged him through the sea at a speed just slightly below sound. Strangely, even if he could teleport with his clothes on, even many weapons in his hand, he can't teleport with another living being. No one else other than himself can become lightning after all. Bang! At an astonishing speed, Amon went to the middle of Fishman Island, the place where a gunshot just sounded out. At the stage where a fire had just been extinguished, Amon noticed the shot down Otoheim. He went there flying and dropped the fried Jimbei on the ground. Thud. After dropping him, Amon vanished from there and 0.9 seconds later, returned in brand new clothes which looked similar to his previous outfit. He also had a bag beside him. As he revealed himself, thousands of fishmen all around the stage shouted, "Boss Jimbei! A human!" He hurt Boss Jimbei. Amon expected such a reaction. That's the only reason he did such a thing after all. After this, a psychological effect similar to Jimbei would happen to them as well. It's a win-win situation. Under the surprise of the 3 princes and 1 princess, Amon crouched down beside Otoheim. "Human, get away from..." He glared at the people who were shouting. "Silence!" Amon released an explosion of Conqueror's Hockey while imbuing electricity in his voice. If trained correctly, he might reach a level where he can mix electricity with Conquerors. Everyone fell silent. The fishmen felt their blood freeze. Like how a fish feels their life flash before them when they meet a predator fish, they are feeling the same right now. Even Otoheim's body froze. Even on her deathbed, she was trying to calm her subjects, but... What is happening now? Ugh, mister. Amon averted his gaze towards her as his cold face and enraged eyes stayed the same. "Queen, my previous word was directed towards you as well." Under her shocked state, Amon quickly used observation hockey to check where the bullet was. Seeing that it was far from the heart, he released a relieved sigh. He blamed his hands on her chest and started to flow a slight amount of electricity to relieve her pain and numb her senses. "Ah, mister." Otoheim felt her pain subsiding, but she realized the wound was still there. She understood the man must not have any ulterior motives, however. Suddenly, she heard a yell coming from the side. "Everyone!" As everyone looked in the direction, Amon grinned internally. It was Horty Jones, a royal guard. More so, he had a human in his hand. Horty looked ahead towards the dumb fishmen. This would be his first step to take over the throne. "Everyone, this is the guy who shot our queen," he screamed loudly. "He is a human. The people we are trying to ally with." Every fisherman got out of their shock from the previous outburst and started to yell loudly. They couldn't believe such a thing. So this is the humans' real facade. All the time they hated humans. Fisher Tiger became their hero for opposing them as well. Yet, when the queen defended the same humans, they accepted it. How impudent! Humans! Everyone screamed with tears falling. Hordy grinned internally. Yes. His captain, Jimbei's absence allowed him to make things fast. He heard Jimbei went to fight a human. That human beside Otoheim, looking at Amon doing something and the queen making a relieved face. He realized the human might be trying to save her. He made a plan. He pointed at Amon. That human. He must be the assassin's helper. Stop him, everyone. Kill the human. Amon looked at Hordy for a second before looking at Otoheim. Meanwhile, the fishmen were in a haywire. They were screaming while among the crowd. Robin was looking at Amon with worry filled in her eyes. She was also keeping Riki down, who was trying to cut the fishmen. The royal guards were running towards Amon, trying to stop himself while the queen was trying to say something. Overall, it was a disastrous moment. That was not the biggest problem though. It didn't help with the monster in a child's form, weapon of mass destruction, Poseidon losing her mind. Looking at Amon doing something to Otoheim, Shirahodi was crying. Mother. With a single cry, everyone fell silent again. But this time in seconds, Fishman Island got surrounded by giant, intimidating sea kings. As if the whole world lost its sound, Shirahoshi kept screaming. The three princes tried to stop her cry but failed miserably. Amon continued to take out medical equipment from the bag on his side. He took out the spray dial and other accessories and was preparing to take out the bullet from Otoheim's wound. He glanced at the back where many sea kings were lurking. He felt no sense of fear looking at them. They were just giant fish. They can be fried right now if he made the seawater 1,500 degrees hot, thus vaporizing the water. Then averting his gaze to the crying Shirahoshi, he grinned internally. He has seen her power with his own eyes just now. It was awesome, more so, that power would be in his hand soon. Silently, he released a slight bolt of electricity into her nerves, making her fall unconscious. Shirahoshi, under the prince's scream, the Sea Kings returned without no one left to command them anymore. Monpyovi, ignoring the prince's reaction, I looked back at the people behind me. God, they looked disgusting. They looked pretty bearable in the 2D anime, but I'm sure nobody would like to meet the fishmen in real life. I guess I know why humans hate them. Currently, they were standing in their spot, intimidated by the Sea Kings. If I hadn't knocked out the girl, the whole island would have been crushed. Not that they are aware of my actions, how sad. I missed an opportunity to become a hero. Wait, they are gone. It didn't take long for them to gain back their sanity as they again looked at me. The guards continued running, as I was about to bandage the queen. It helps a lot with surgery after gaining the power to numb senses. Human, get away from the queen. Ugh, they've been screaming for a while now. It's annoying and distracting though. Fuck, even though it's true that if she survives then I will be a hero, it's also true that if she died then I will be blamed. Looking back at them, I release a slight sigh and stare at them coldly. I notice Riki having wide eyes while looking at my cold face. Well, I guess I've been an acting lovey-dovey for 14 years in front of her. Not only her, nobody saw my true face yet. I guess Robin did a little. Anyway, I need to take off the mask before the mask takes over me. I think one more year. I didn't say anything looking at the soldiers and just streamed my willpower through. I guess knocking down a few thousand people won't be that big of a problem. Conqueror's hockey. With a burst of my hockey, everyone dropped on the ground, unconscious. I accidentally knocked Riki, Robin and Cricket's gang as well. Fuck, I need more control over it. Phew. Currently, everyone was knocked out. Only me and the queen are conscious in the range of 3 kilometers. She seems to be doing better than before, though she still has fear lingering within her eyes. I wave my hands at her. Hello, nice to meet you. Was it weird to introduce myself like this? Hello, thank you for saving my life. She was still coughing and breathing heavily. Nodding at her, I took out more bandages and removed her dress. The bullet hit her sternum and glanced off. Lucky her, the injuries seemed a lot worse than they actually were. I quickly start bandaging the part. It didn't take much time with her cooperation. She is quite quick to grasp on the situation. I guess her observation is powerful. I can feel she can feel my emotions as well. Fortunately, I have learned to control and trick myself to genuinely feel differently. Looking at me, she had a smile on her face. I can guess her thoughts as well. She was happy seeing a human saving her life. She can use this as a fact to prove that not all humans are bad, while unbeknownst to her, that will only help me with my reputation. Though can I be considered human with wings on my back? No, disregarding my wings, can I even be considered human? Not that I care. Amon sprayed some medicine on her wounds. Just a second ago he got the bullet out, so Otoheim was doing fine. In canon, if she received immediate medical treatment, she might have been saved. But that didn't happen and she died. Amon saved her life this time, thus forming a solid relationship with Fishman Island. In the future, if he gets strong enough to retain the island from Whitebeard's name, it will help a lot by having the gate to the new world under him. Besides, let's not talk about the ancient weapon. Amon quickly bandaged her chest while talking with the patient to keep her distracted. Finally, after a few minutes, fishmen out of the range of the Conqueror's hockey started to come here as this place had fallen terribly silent. Amon helped Otoheim sit down as she looked around at her unconscious subjects. She then glanced back at the spot where Hody Jones was lying unconsciously. Particularly, she glanced at the dead human. She bit her lips lightly. Was I targeted by humans? Her thoughts were wandering. Amon sensed them and packed his bag. Don't worry about it. The human wasn't the one who pulled the trigger. Otoheim instantly looked at him with question-filled eyes. Amon smiled as he flashed before her eyes. Around 7 seconds later, he returned with a camera dial in his hand. These types of dials are quite normal around the Blues, even before Amon started his business. He lightly tossed the camera towards her. Here, watch the clip inside it. You'll understand what I mean. Otoheim caught it curiously. After inspecting the device for a while, she clicked on the play button as her eyes grew up. She again played it, but the reaction didn't change. She kept playing it until tears were falling down her face. Why did one of us do this? The clip had Hody pulling the trigger and Otoheim getting shot. Otoheim was too caught in the situation to ask him the origin of the camera. One of Amon's spies captured it, and Amon decided to wipe his memory of this incident for certain reasons. Soon, one by one, people started to get up from the ground. They were instantly confused. After looking around, they got overwhelmingly happy seeing their queen sitting alive. But soon after, rage took them over as they noticed the tears coming out of her eyes. She was crying beside the human. Luckily, Otoheim stopped them from attacking Amon. Fortunately for them, they didn't take 2 steps. Amon left things in Otoheim's hands. As more people retained their consciousness, they started a barrage of questions asking why Otoheim was protecting the human. She could have shown the clip, but she was hesitant in showing it to everyone. She knew Hody would definitely be sentenced to death, but she didn't want that to happen to this foolish child. However, this is why Amon was here. Amon incited her by saying, "What will they think if you don't reveal it? They will believe all humans are like that. Besides, no kingdom is perfect. Having 1 or 2 bad apples throwing a revolution isn't that rare. Show it, do it. It's for the greater good." Otoheim, without any other choice left, acted on his suggestion. He was right after all. If she didn't reveal that it was Hody Jones who led this assassination, they will keep believing a human tried to assassinate her, thus destroying what she wanted to achieve all her life. After that, while things were going haywire, she sincerely invited Amon to come to the palace. She didn't want a human to see the shameful state of the fishmen race. Amon accepted the offer as he called out to Robin and Cricket's team. Then Jimbei volunteered to direct them to the palace along with the royal children. Otoheim would need more time to balance things out. Hearing that Jimbei volunteered to lead Amon meant that even now, he was suspicious that Amon might pull something to the king if left alone. Not long after, Amon's team and the royal children reached the gate of the palace. Shirahoshi was still unconscious, so Jimbei was carrying her, a few steps ahead of the group. While walking, he was thinking with a guilty heart, "I must apologize to him." Although Shirley's divination rarely fails, it still does sometimes. This seemed one of those times. Jimbei stopped in front of the giant gate of the castle. The gates were massive so that even the giant Merman King could easily enter it. Stopping, he turned around. He decided that this was a perfect place to apologize right here and now. "Warlord Lucifer, before we enter the castle, I must apologize for my actions before. But I do have a reason for that." He quickly shook his head. "No, I have no excuses. It was my fault. You even saved Her Highness' life." Cricket's team, Raki and the 3 princes were confused as to what had happened, while Amon just shook his head. "It's fine. You must have had a good reason. I heard that there is a fortune teller here. Did she say something about me? Haha. Sorry. Tell her that I was just having fun with her a little. It's nothing serious." Jimbei was surprised hearing him. "Playing? Wait, did you alter that scene by yourself?" Amon smiled lightly with his eyes closed like a wise man. "Not entirely. I won't think of killing someone kind as Neptune even as a joke. It was a mistake on my part. I ask forgiveness. Amon bowed lightly. And shyly. She seems very shocked. I guess I will have to apologize to her myself. I will compensate her with dinner someday. Jimbei was caught a little off guard, but he soon nodded. Then please. I won't ask for forgiveness for what I did. After all, you might have died. But please, hold no grudge against the fishmen. He wanted to bow, but Shirahoshi was on his shoulder. Amon just waved his hands in dismissal. Releasing a relieved sigh, Jimbei led them again. Riki asked a question about what was happening, and Amon told her about their fight. The royal children were surprised to hear that Amon won. Not long after, Amon and the team were sitting on a couch. The royal children were taken to another room, and Jimbei left to escort the injured queen. More accurately, the king has refused to meet anyone before getting his wife back, so he left alone to get her back. As soon as Jimbei learned about it, he rushed out after him. While thinking this, Amon glanced at Riki, who was sitting beside him with a face filled with mixed expressions. Amon crackled a little. If she was acting like this just after seeing his cold face, he couldn't imagine how she would react if she saw the abyss itself. Amon shook his head and looked at Robin. See, I told you I'll be fine. Robin just looked away. Yes, I can see that. That doesn't mean what you did wasn't dangerous. Amon broke out in small laughter while Cricket and the Monkey Brothers sat there awkwardly. They waited for the royal family to return, but it seemed the king was too caught up in things to greet them, so they were given an appointment for the next day. Accordingly, some maids showed them the ways to their room for the night. Amon decided to pay a visit to Vanderdecken 9, hiding in the large ship, Noah. On the next day, they were again sitting at the same spot, but this time the king and his queen were sitting in front of them. I'm terribly sorry for keeping you waiting, respectable guest. Otoheim bowed down slightly to Amon, who just took a sip from his cup of tea. Ignore that, rather I would like some more of this tea. Mass-produced if possible. The king and queen looked at each other. If you like it so much we can give it to you as much as possible. No, not that. I mean a business. A trade. Amon smiled. I heard that Fishman Island will immigrate to the surface. I was thinking of being the first country to ally with them if possible. Otoheim looked at him surprised, before turning into confusion. Country. I thought you were a warlord. Indeed I'm one. But I'm also king of a small unknown country in the sky. A sky island. Amon placed the cup at the table, with a business smile on his face. He then explained the Skypea. Amon was a little impatient inside, and the reason was his visit to Noah last night. I'm sure Jimbei must have heard about the new ally of Alabasta Kingdom. That's my country. After a few minutes, Amon had explained the basics. Otoheim made a thinking posture. So, that's the reason why you married the princess of Alabasta? Otoheim asked. Amon was impressed that she knew this much. Wow, indeed. Amon nodded slightly as the king grumped. Before you say anything, I won't give my Shira to you. Although he said this, he was staring at Amon and Riki's wings. He recalled the history briefly, but he shook his head. Impossible. Jaya vanished 400 years ago. They can't be Shandorians. They vanished even though they were given the job to protect the Poneglyph. Amon grinned, hearing his internal thought. He laughed lightly. Don't worry, I'm not here for that. She's only 6 after all. The king sighed. He was grateful for what he did yesterday, but still. On the other hand, Amon didn't have many advantages which can be used to propose a marriage offer, so he planned to refrain from doing so. For now, that is. Then it's decided. Queen Otoheim took his words to heart. It would be a blessing if she can make Skypea her ally. Even though it's not a famous country, it is after all still Alabasta's ally. Besides, this can be a starting point for Fishman Island. Benefactor, I don't mind allying with you at all. In fact, I would be more than happy to do so. By the way, isn't it pretty ironic how Skypea is 10,000 meters above the sea while Fishman Island is 10,000 meters below sea? Amon laughed at her logic. Yes, indeed. There is a reason for that, though. He then continued on the topic. Are you aware of the war that occurred 800 years ago? Otoheim's eyes attached upwards. I saw the Poneglyph in the forest out there. There is a Poneglyph in the sky as well. It talks about the mermaid princess, Amon said. I'm sure you are aware who I'm talking about. Otoheim's body had already frozen by then. How did he know about this? On the other hand, the king had disbelief lingering within his eyes. 800, we were given a job by my ancestors. It was to protect the Poneglyph. But there was more to it. It was also to protect the entirety of the Fishman race. It was to protect the mermaid princess. While everyone in the room listened to this with wide eyes and a purely shocked face, Amon took out a dial. Here, watch this clip as proof. It was Neptune who instantly accepted it. As the king of Fishman Island, He knew that a pongipal containing the information of Poseidon was given to Jaya's inhabitants. After seeing Shirahoshi summon the Sea Kings twice already, he knew she was the one. But he needed to be sure that Amon was telling the truth. Is he really a Shondorian? He would recognize the poneglyph if he saw it. Impossible. Looking at the video clips and photos, Neptune was shocked to the core. He didn't know what the poneglyph said in detail, but he knew it's about the mermaid princess, so he was forced to believe that what Amon said about protecting the fishmen was the truth. He then placed the camera down and looked at Amon with shaky eyes. Are you a Shondorian? Amon nodded. Indeed, more precisely I'm a Shondian, the descendants. I'm the current leader of the bunch as well. I guess you are aware of the things since you are the king. Amon's position in Neptune's mind instantly jumped up. Please, respectable guests, forgive us if we made any mistake. Please don't shame us by calling the Shondora a small country. He instantly bowed, leaving Jimbei and Otoheim speechless. The city Shondora that Neptune knew was the one from 800 years ago. Shondora, a kingdom that matched Wano at power, even though it was very small. Amon grinned internally. He always loved to use these points to form relationships. I have nothing to complain about. Rather, I sincerely invite you to the sky, the city of gold, Shondora. Amon widened his arms. They were too caught in the situation to answer his request. Fishman Island was a thing, but Neptune knew the legacy of Shandorians was something he might never see in his life. This was a godsend invitation. Amon then continued to talk with them as hours passed by. During this time, Amon had already caught Neptune's interest. Sir Lucifer, it would have been great if you were born here. But I'm sure, with someone like you, the Shondora will prosper again. I really hope that you would form an alliance with us. It would be our honor. The pleasure is all mine. Jimbei was happy seeing that nothing bad had happened, while Amon finally reached a particular point where he needed to incite the king and queen. He looked at them coldly. He had a for-your-own-good look on his face. Don't immigrate to the surface yet. The queen was a bit hesitant, but strangely the king nodded instantly. He trusted him after he introduced himself as the protector of fishmen. More so, he was the king of Shondora, god of the sky. After some more discussion, Amon was able to force the queen to agree as well. He used the fact that there is internal conflict among themselves, so if they try to go out in the air, they might easily fall. Also, slave merchants. Soon after it was decided, their alliance would form without any problems. Amon was very happy inside. However, he was eager to get out of this meeting as soon as possible. Last night, after he visited Vanderdecken 9 in Noah, he didn't kill him. He returned since he sensed something particularly interesting. The interesting thing was letting out a dangerous aura as well. Amon didn't know what it was, but he felt the aura similar to something Riki had. So he took it from Riki. He took one of the swords from Riki and went to the ship. After doing some procedures, like subduing the Vanderguy to the fishman guards, Amon started to look around the ship hastily. There, he found a single sword. But he needed to finish the job here first. A few more days for their alliance to shape nicely.